This is Dedrick Dodge, two-time Super Bowl champion. You're listening to Matt and Dexter on The Grueling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, brought to you by Replenishing Technologies and MyBookie.ag. I'm your host, Matt Andruscavage, and I'd like to welcome in my co-host, former 49ers running back and Super Bowl 29 champion, Dexter Carter.
Hey, Matt, great to be with you again, my man. Hey, great tandem when we get together talking about 49er football, and another great week from a conversation perspective on just looking at the overall state of 49er football.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good, but it's definitely tough when it's an 0-5 season, even though the last 4 games, losing by a combined total of 11 points, it's tough, but, you know, they're not getting shelled every week, but I don't know, I didn't really feel much of a moral victory in this one because I felt like the Niners were the better team, but we can definitely get into it.
Yeah, I'm like you. I felt like we were a better team, but a lot of the things that we talked about, you know, since the season started and the things that we've seen continues to come to fruition. You know, if you just look at the stat, you know, you'll say, man, Hoyer had a heck of a game. And he did. No interceptions. And, you know, you could look at the receivers. There was a number of good catches. But then there were also those drop passes. And we talked about the secondary at the beginning of the year, that was the group that had to step up and consistently get better and sooner than later.
Right.
And they continue to be the group that needs to grow on defense, that needs to get over, you know, the bad plays and step up to the plate. Now, you know, we had, you know, a couple of key guys on defense that didn't play much for one reason or the other, but nonetheless, these things continue to come to the forefront. You know, when you have Hyde out, you know, that hurts your team. You love Breida, you know, but it wasn't a production of what Hyde would be, and I think he's nursing a small injury too. But just the inconsistency of everything. But I still see so many things to really be excited about. You know, one, put yourselves in a position, one, to win at the end. But you can't allow yourself to be down, 20-something to 9 or something of that nature.
Yeah.
You cannot put yourself in a position to have to battle back because we're not built that way. So even to battle back, go into overtime and give yourselves a chance, to me, that's optimism because, one, we don't have the quarterback in place that we need. So in my opinion, I think the sooner, you know, you put who you think is your future in that quarterback and let him start to get, you know, some work and get acclimated to the NFL and let him grow with the team, you know, but then Kyle, for whatever reason, he feels that Hoyer gives the team the best chance to win. But at this point, when you're 0-5, I believe, or 0-6, I think that right now, not to throw the season away, but you got to grow for next year. And if 4 years your future for next year, okay, keep him in. But if he's not, then let's throw Bedford in there and let him, you know, do the growing pain that Chicago is letting their quarterback, the rookie, do right now. You know, so
yeah.
That's the way I look at it. But I still am optimistic about the 49ers. You know, now how optimistic I am about, as I said at the beginning of the season, us going 500, you know, 8-8. I don't know if that's going to happen. And I don't want to keep winning. I mean, losing these games like this in overtime by 3 points the rest of the year. At some point, one move can be the difference of winning those games by 3 rather than losing these games by 3. And changing the quarterback may do it, you know, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely you touched on a lot of stuff there. You know, as we went through you go through the Colts game, you can see the box score. You know, there are some favorable numbers, but boy, they were just woeful in the first half. And It was a valiant comeback in the fourth quarter, and I think that's what's so frustrating to watch. There are times Brian Hoyer is so inaccurate, and Marquise Goodwin was wide open in the third quarter. If he puts that ball where Goodwin is running, it's a touchdown. Instead, he throws it way overthrown and way behind him. It's just super inaccurate. There were several missed passes, guys that were open, and he just missed them. Didn't see them or went somewhere else, and you can see that Kyle Shanahan's dialing up the right plays to match the schemes of the defense, but Hoyer's just not able to get the ball there. And then in the fourth quarter, they're down 23-9, and he puts these beautiful passes on, like Goodwin for 50 yards, and hitting George Kittle, the rookie tight end, steps up, and they're down 23-9, and they come all the way back and tie the game. It's just so mind-numbingly frustrated at the inconsistencies. But like you, I see the optimism. I see the positives. It's just when you go week after week after week like this, it's hard to re-rally and stay positive. But I guess we all should have expected this kind of a season. I guess it's better than being blown out 50-0. But man, they could easily be 3-2 or 4-1 by now.
Right. Other than the Carolina thing, again, and we've reiterated this on earlier shows, other than Carolina, I think people expected more games to be that way. So I know I'm using the word spoil, probably in the right, not using the right context right now, but we expected more games like the Carolina game.
Yeah.
So we're kind of creating a standard of giving ourselves a chance to win. So when we're going to start winning these games, when really that 8-8 season that was predicted by many, including I believe you and I.
Yeah.
There are probably those 8 games were lost by more of a 23-9 score rather than a loss by 3. So that optimism that we continue to throw out there, when you keep having those overtime games and losing by 3, then it creates a natural spoiled fan because, oh man, we have a chance.
Right.
And we're looking at it, objectively and being able to decipher where those deficiencies are. And we can, pick apart the corners. But if you go back and look at history, we talked about that. We can pick apart the quarterback position, regardless of how good the stats look to the eyes. We can go back and we can pinpoint those moments that we talked about, the quarterback position and the importance of it. And we talked about Hyde. Nothing against Breida because I like him. I think the top 2 running backs that they brought out of camp are the right 2 guys.
Right.
We talked about the offensive line. On the offensive line, are showing a little bit more, consistency. But we have to have guys healthy as a team. We have to have everybody, going at it from the time the, gun starts off or the whistle's blown to the end of the game. And that's not what we're seeing right now as far as the consistency that this 49er team needs to, one, get the lead, sustain that lead, and again, do what is written down when a team says, hey, what do we need to do to succeed? Offensively, we need to, one, take advantage of first down, so we're in good second and third down conversion situations. Convert on third down, get into the red zone, score touchdowns in the red zone instead of field goals. But hey, if we can get that field goal, let's get that field goal. Defense, let's not have penalties as well as we don't want penalties on offense to keep drive sustained or stop drives on offense. Don't allow big plays, corners. Come on, we're getting the pressure with the front 7. Linebackers are going to do their thing. So all those things, I'm telling you, hey, in a year, 2 years for sure, we're going to be far above 500. And we're going to put ourselves in a position again where we're scoring 28 points a game consistently. Defense is holding teams the way they're doing now, consistently under 28 points, and give 49 a chance to win. So, unfortunately, we got to keep coming and saying, oh, man, look what happened if we lost because of this. It's just part of the process. Kyle Shanahan is continuing to show that he's the right guy He's not rushing, to make changes that he doesn't think is necessary right now. And we can doubt him all we want to, but he's not going anywhere after 1 year. He knows what he's doing. I'm assuming statistically Hoyer is doing well because, again, Kyle knows how to make play calls. He's just hoping Hoyer cannot make those early mistakes or late mistakes in a game that can, not give the 49ers a chance to win.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. I think Kyle Shanahan is the right guy. I think he's dialing up a lot of the right plays. There were some moments like Joe Staley had a couple of bad plays that resulted in sacks where he got beat. A couple of third downs. There's just a bunch of little things that are contributing to these losses, and that's usually what happens each game. But I do see the growth. I do see the potential here, and I do agree that in a year, another off season like this, they got a lot of money to spend under the cap, and just a lot of growth for these young guys. I do think they're going to grow leaps and bounds. But I guess the real question is, from a player's perspective and a coach's perspective, which you've done both. What does a team do in this situation when they're 0-5? The playoffs are most likely out of it's kind of out of reach. Is this basically a glorified preseason the rest of the way, where you just try to get the most you can out of guys, be competitive, be a spoiler? What's the mindset?
Well, some of those you mentioned are correct. One, you do want to be competitive and you do want to be a spoiler, but you don't want to just toss the season away and, hey, let's just get through it however, we feel we can. No, you still got to try to improve in every facet of the game. That's what your meetings are about. That's what your walkthroughs are about. That's what your practices are about, and more importantly, you got to just put healthy talent on the field who's the best talent at that position. And, I can remember back, I believe it was 94 when we won the Super Bowl, and we started out, not so great. And after week 5, we lost 40-8 to the Eagles, and it just looked dismal. It just looked bad. And, it warranted, and we got a meeting from, the greatest owner in team sports, Eddie DeBartolo, and Eddie said, one thing: what do you need that haven't been provided to you? What do you need? Have I not given you everything you need to succeed? Heck, we had an all-star team. It takes time to gel together and come together, but at the end of the day, you're professionals, and the right people in the right places. So what's the deal? And I tell you what, after that, we exploded, went on a run, and made each other accountable. And obviously, everybody knows what the results was from that year. But and I could also look back at Florida State. It's not many times that I've never been 0-5, okay, but I have been 0-2. And you know what? Florida State, we were 0-2. Had lost the first game to Brett Favre when Brett Favre stepped out and showed the country who he was at Southern Miss, and then we lost to Clemson. 0-2 after being preseason, I believe number 3 or 4. And then all of a sudden, we're 0-2, and what do? Well, we didn't think, what do we do? We just stayed the course, and Bobby Bowden did what Bobby Bowden does and made us accountable, and we stepped up to the plate and, reeled off, as we did with the 49ers, 10 straight wins with Steve Young, and then, at Florida State, we reeled off the rest of the season, won every game, won the Fiesta Bowl. So it's about being accountable. It's about making a decision that we're no longer going to be mediocre. And, right now, the difference is you got a new coach, and, you got a fairly young, one of the youngest teams in the league. So you got to figure out a way, and in my opinion, just talking about cornerbacks. Now, the cornerback position, it's about it being a big problem. You may note that, Dante Johnson, got beat several times, on broken plays. That's kind of hard. When plays break, you hope the defensive line can get to the quarterback, before he throws the, ball downfield, because corner can't hold a receiver all day. But that's not what's happening the majority of the time. You've got guys having pretty good games like Rashard Robinson, with some good pass defenses, but as a unit, it continues to need work because when you go up against good quarterbacks, they are going to pick you apart. At some point, you got to forget about being young. You got to be able to step up, and it comes down to mano. You got to just step up, and you got to be in the hip of a receiver. That position probably is as important as the quarterback position. So they got to figure out how can I get better quicker, whether it takes more individual film study, I call it this, whether it's high school, college, or the pros, I call it straining. You got to find a way to strain under a controlled situation. That means that these corners got to look at every receiver as if they're equally or better than them. So every angle is relevant. Every leverage that you have is relevant. So you can't afford to let him, Jerry Rice is very good at running a great post route. He's got that corner, backpedaling, and Jerry gives him the slightest little head move on a corner route and hits a post. That's the only space that he needs to make a play. Well,
right.
Unfortunately, going against Jerry Rice or some of these receivers right now that's not close to Jerry Rice, you can't afford that little head move. It's an educated guess. You got to watch film. When they have this spacing in this formation, then you got to know, okay, they probably going to run this route. So do you cheat? Yeah. But you better cheat right. And right now, we're not cheating right. So we're getting beat. So it's just stepping up to the plate and realizing how do we as a group, as a team, stop this winless streak that we're on? I don't have the answer for them. I just know that I've been there from a 0-2 perspective or a 2-3 perspective, and we were able to come back and do it. But it wasn't without a whole lot of straining and focus from every single person on that team.
Right. So basically, what I get out of what you were saying is, you stay the course. You play each game as if you do have a chance for the playoffs. You don't give up. You keep grinding, and you just keep putting forth your best effort, and you just got to see what happens. You just got to get as many players as developed as possible each game. Give yourself a chance to win, and you just go out there and do the very best you can. You don't really toss the season away. And I agree with that. I don't want to see them just play for certain things or just put certain guys out there. I do think after a couple of more weeks of this, if it's more of the same, I do agree that they probably should give C.J. Beathard a chance this year, get him some reps, see what you have there. I do think there's a possibility coming up soon that could happen. But I like the idea of Reuben Foster coming back, Eric Reed coming back, getting the defense stronger, and just kind of seeing what happens here. This Redskin game coming up, we could talk about this for a couple of minutes before we sign off for the day. The Redskins game coming up, the Redskins got a very good offense. We're going to be kind of previewing Kirk Cousins, which a lot of people think he could be coming to San Francisco next year. So we're going to get to see that a little bit. They have a good offense, but the Niners do have a good defense. So I think the key to the game is getting something going early out of that offense, and hopefully that'll happen, and we can see some growth there.
Yeah, I totally forgot about what you were saying because I was so focused on the 49ers and what they have in-house. But, it's hard for anybody to look at the possibilities of next year, but you hit on it, so we're going to talk about it, Kirk Cousins. Would that be a great move? Absolutely. Maybe that's why Kyle is holding back and feels like he's got a better chance of the 49ers continuing to be in a competitive winning situation at the end of the ball game with Hoyer rather than Beathard. I know that's another whole topic, but this game here has a lot of, thought-provoked things from guys like us. We want to win the game, and the good thing about it is Kirk Cousins is very familiar, just like Hoyer is with Kyle Shanahan. But hey, we want to beat him this year. We want to beat him, and they're going to have to step up to the plate real strong because Washington has shown that they could be a very, very good team, But I guess if there's anything positive out of this, hopefully we can win. And number two, hopefully Kirk Cousins, like likes the Bay Area. Possibly.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
I do think the Niners will have their chances in this game. It'll just come down to, will they be able to get Kirk Cousins off the field on third down? Will the 49ers run game improve? And I think that's important. Obviously a big need for next year will be offensive guard. If the offensive line can keep Hoyer upright and get Carlos Hyde going, I think that's a real big part of the game. Carlos Hyde and Matt Breida have to be more of a focus in the game, just like Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman were in Atlanta, and still are.
Totally agree.
So if they can be the focus and give Hoyer, something to play action out of, and not make him have to come back all the time, that will really go a long way. But it'll be a hard game. This is the third straight game on the road, and then they get to come back home. So we'll see what happens in this. But I'm optimistic that they'll have their chances. I just hope that I'd rather see a close game than a blowout. I'll tell you that.
That's true, and I think one of the keys to this game is going to be one. I think Hyde and Breida are key, and you said something. Hopefully, if drives can continue, if Cal utilizes both of these guys, because I like both of them. Because if we allow Kirk Cousins and Washington to have the ball a large percentage of the time, one guy that they don't want the ball to get in his hands, although I think Foster, and Bowman being back is going to be key, because Chris Thompson is having a heck of a year.
Yeah. He
signed a new deal before the season started, and he has been playing lights out. They have found and figured out a way to get him the ball out the backfield, and he is not letting them down. He's scoring long touchdowns, getting the ball in his hands on swing passes, pass back, read, route, one-on-one with the linebacker, and he's playing extremely well. So I think that's going to be a key in this game. How do we contain the running back coming out of the backfield, Chris Thompson?
Yeah, Reuben Foster plays, and Eric Reed. I think they're going to have a much better chance of making Washington one-dimensional, and then they got to make sure that they get off the field and get pressure on Cousins and knock balls down if you can't intercept them. So hopefully that will happen. And on the offensive side of the ball, I'm hoping to see Hoyer make more plays like he did in the fourth quarter of the Indianapolis games rather than the first half. So I think those would be the keys to the game, and hopefully we'll see a good one on Sunday.
Yeah, I think so. Another loss, I'm telling you, isn't making this team feel down, depressed, or any negative word that we want to use. I really believe they're sitting there and meeting. Well, not right now, because on the East Coast we're 3 hours ahead. But nonetheless, once meetings come, trust me, I think once the game is over, they go through the process of getting ready for next week. And again, Cal is in meetings telling them the optimism of, again, only losing by 3 points. And, regardless of how the first half went, we don't want to start out that way again, but you battle back and gave ourselves a chance to win. So we don't get behind like that. We're going to start winning these games. So, he's a motivator, and he's going to tell these guys, they have a chance. Just keep preparing the way that you're preparing, minimize the mistakes that you make, and we'll start winning these ball games.
Yep, I agree. Well, we're going to have a little bit of a shorter show today, but, hopefully everybody will be able to tune into the game on Sunday, be able to enjoy it. And we'll be back next week to talk more about the Redskins game, and then preview the Dallas game, which will be interesting as well coming up. So, got any final thoughts, my friend?
No. Let's just continue, supporting the Niners and just understanding the process. And these 3-point losses will start becoming 3-point wins. So, just stay faithful.
Yep, stay faithful, enjoy it, and you can't get to 1981 without going through 1979 and 1981. This does happen, and hopefully we'll be able to witness winning football very soon here. So, hope everybody gets to enjoy the game. Please go to thegruelingtruth.net for articles and podcasts for everything sports, and we will be back next week to discuss this Sunday's game. So, for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Andruscavage. You've been listening to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network. where the legends speak. Hey man, so glad we could still hook up. I know there's so much busyness going on right now, and it can be rough, but I appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely, man. Hey, I couldn't when I'm glad you texted me because I totally forgot. It was Thursday yesterday going into this game, my high school game. So when you said, hey, we can skip this week, well, man, hey, we can't let our followers down. We have to figure out how to make it happen.
I agree.
Cool.
Would this Tuesday? I work late on Tuesday, so I don't go in till a little bit later. Would Tuesday work for you in the morning?
You know what? Let's work towards Tuesday because I think early in the week will be better just from a listener's perspective.
Yes, I agree too.
Yeah. So keep me abreast and remind me.
All right. Yeah, we'll do. I'll probably what I'll do is I'll shoot you a text either late Sunday or early Monday just to kind of see where things are at. I'll have notes for you if we can do it Tuesday, and that way it'll be. Yeah, I like the idea of having it much closer to the game than later.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, man.
That works, my man. You have a great day, bro.
You too. Hope you have a great weekend with the fam, and we'll talk to you soon.
We'll do, my man. We'll see you.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.